Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Alright, today is not a motorcycle related video, not motorcycle related at all actually, but it is related to questions that I've been asked recently about my newest adopted rescue bird. This little buddy here on my shoulder. I've had a lot of questions about this guy's backstory and just how I came to get him and stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys just this guy's history, and maybe you guys can help me decide on a name for him. No, I have not named him yet, but I do have 4 names picked out that I'm going to tell you guys at the end of the video, and then I want you guys to vote in the comments on your favorite name, and whichever name wins the most votes will be the name that this guy gets. So I'm going to need your guys' help because I suck at naming anything, and it's probably a good thing I don't have any children yet because they would just be hooped for names. Now, before we get into this guy's story, then I'm just going to share with you guys a little bit of my own history and experience with wild birds. It all started out when I was a kid, and I actually found a baby crow in my front yard who'd been rejected by his parents and was actually extremely malnourished. That crow's name was Heckle. And I hand raised him. I had him for about 8 months, and I taught him how to fly. It took him a long time to get just his strength back because of how malnourished he was, and he was actually had feathers in the back of his head and on the tips of his wings, or the shoulders of his wings, that were going white, and they actually stayed white just because of how malnourished he was. So that crow, I hand fed him for a long time, and I taught him how to fly and everything, and I slowly kind of let him be more independent. He would fly around the neighborhood and visit neighbors, and then always come back home to eat and sleep. And eventually he just started spending nights outside, you know, slowly just stopped coming back as often, and eventually just stopped coming back at all. He did come back one time about 3 months after he had kind of left, and I knew it was him because he always had those white feathers, and it was really good to see him because I knew that he was out there doing well and he was living his crow life. He only let me get within like a couple feet of him, and he just stood there and stared at me, and then he flew off. But it was actually just gave me peace of mind. I knew that he was doing well and that I'd actually helped him to make it out there. Now, I never really consider any wild bird that I've rescued as a pet because they're not pets. They're wild. They belong in nature, and I've never prevented any of the birds that I've saved from going back into nature. I don't clip their wings and I don't cage them. And I've had a few other types of birds. I've had baby quail that I've hand reared and, you know, raised into adulthood, who slowly went back into nature the same way that my crow did. And I've had a couple starlings that did the same, and they always integrated back into nature, and they did it at their own pace. That's just the best, and it's what I hope will happen with this guy. I just don't know if it ever actually will, just because of his history. Now let's talk about his history a little bit and how I got him. Now, I actually did not find this guy. He was found by someone who ended up posting a post on Facebook asking if there was anybody who could take care of a baby crow that they had found. Now, my sister saw this post, and she contacted these people and just told them I had experience with wild birds. At first they wanted to keep him and they just wanted to see what they were able to do, but after a couple days they realized that he was actually injured. They thought he had a broken leg, and they contacted my sister and they just asked if I still wanted the crow. My response, of course, was yes. So I got this guy on June 4th. You could tell that he was injured. We thought it was a broken leg, but then I was checking out his leg and I was like, his leg doesn't really look broken. There's no visible breaks. So I was like, he's limping for another reason. He's obviously injured. I was hoping that it was just sprained. But then after examining him further, we realized that he actually had quite the bad break in one of his bones, where there was a bone actually protruding through his back and actually was puncturing the skin a little bit. So after looking at a whole bunch of crow anatomy on Google, I discovered that he must have a broken hip. and that's why he was limping with his leg. And when I discovered that, actually, I kind of was just thinking that it was just kind of out of my league and I should contact wildlife professionals. Then, though, I thought about it for about a day and a night, and I changed my mind about passing him on to any wildlife professionals because I just didn't want to risk having him be put down because of his injury. I decided I'd give him a fighting chance and just kind of let nature take its course. And slowly over time, he went from not being able to even stand on that leg to now he's walking around actually really well. He only trips on that bad leg when he gets super excited and starts to run or something. I buy crickets from the pet store and I kind of let them out in the yard and just let him chase them around now that he's actually able to walk on his feet properly. He's still at an age where if he was in the wild, his parents would still be caring for him quite a bit. But you know, I'm just gonna do whatever I can to help him to become strong, and hopefully one day he'll be strong enough that he'll be able to be accepted back into a crow community. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen because he is a cripple. There's still some things that he just can't do for himself, mostly just using that one leg, and he can't scratch himself. That one leg is really weak, so he can't stand on it to scratch himself, so I'm always having to scratch his ears for him because he's just an itchy little bird all the time and he loves it. See, that's what he does when he loves the ear scratches so much. I do my best to make him strong and independent. There's not too much more to say about him. That's his story, and he's actually a really tough little guy. He's got a crazy fun personality. He's just mischievous and he loves to cuddle, and he's just got so much energy, and it's so good to see him just doing so well. I hope that he keeps getting stronger, and you know, eventually the best thing for him will be to go be part of a crow community somewhere. Alright guys, well that's it for the history of this guy and, you know, my experience with other birds and stuff. Now for the names that I've got picked out for him, and I want you guys to please vote. Tell me which name you guys like the most. Alright, so I've got 4 names. The first name that I was thinking, I was going to call him Loki because it's kind of a cute name and he's really mischievous, and Loki was the Greek god of mischief. Icarus is the second name. That name was actually suggested to me by some of my viewers, and Icarus was another Greek god who made himself like wings out of feathers and wax, and then he flew too close to the sun and his wings melted and he died. Pretty stupid move, and it's probably something this guy would do because he's a little bit stupid even for as smart as he is. He's kind of dumb. So Icarus, and then I would call him Icky for short. And then Jekyll was the third name because my last crow's name was Heckle, and Heckle and Jekyll are crows, and my nephew likes the name Jekyll, so Jekyll was the third name, but you can't shorten that name at all, and I kind of like short names. And then last but not least would be the all original name Bird, spelt B-Y-R-D, Bird the Bird. So you guys can let me know what you think is best, and you know, but like I said, I'm leaving it up to you guys, so whichever name wins the most votes, that will be his name. I'll pin a comment with my names, and you guys can either just comment on the video or reply to that comment of mine and let me know what name you like the most, and whichever name wins the most votes, that's going to be his new name. And before I go, I do just want to remind you guys about something that a lot of people don't know about crows. So fledgling crows, when they're leaving the nest, they actually don't know how to fly, and they spend about a week on the ground, walking around, being protected and cared for by their parents before they learn how to fly. It's very important that if you see baby crow waddling around on the ground and it doesn't seem to be injured, that you probably should just leave it be, because his parents are probably somewhere caring for him, especially if you've got adult crows trying to chase you away from this baby crow. Definitely leave it be. Now if the crow's injured, it's a different story because it's not going to make it, so it will probably need some help. But just a reminder, if you see baby crows on the ground in the springtime, then it's pretty normal for them to be on the ground before they learn how to fly. That's it for this video, so I hope you guys liked it, and like always, you know what I say, if you like what you see, or you just like me, or whatever, you know, like my bikes, all that stuff, then like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And like always, my YouTube people, I will catch you all on the flip side. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, really? Oh, really, Bird? Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Oh, man.